Hey guys, we're the Sports Addicts podcast, and we're back again with the second part of our top 5 players at each position. Today we'll be going over the top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL. So, Sai, who do you have?
Yeah, so starting off, number one, I have Stephon Gilmore. Last year, the defensive player of the year. Stephon Gilmore, he's just incredible. Since he's come to New England, he's been the best cornerback in the NFL for years now. He's been first team All Pro. He's made the Pro Bowl. He's elite, and I think watching him along with that New England secondary, it's the best in the NFL. Like one of the best in the NFL. Last season was definitely the best. And I think him along with other guys like J.C. Jackson and Jason McCourty and Devin McCourty in the safety spot, I think he definitely creates havoc out there, and he shuts down opposing receivers. If you look at when like Dallas came in, he shut down Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper couldn't get anything going. He spent most of his game on the sideline because of him, and I think he definitely is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. And if not number one, he's definitely the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he won Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, if you take a look at some of the stats, he allowed the NFL's 6th lowest completion percentage, and he allowed only 1 touchdown, and he was targeted 96 times. And he had 6 interceptions, and he dropped a couple more. And the thing that fascinates me is like the way that he stays attached to the receiver's hips. Like he gives the receivers zero room to operate. And as you said, he shut down so.
He isn't even the most athletic at the position either.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like the reason the Patriots defense was as good as it is last year, because like their defensive line, it was good, but like it wasn't like on the Niners or like the Steelers or like that level. It's the defensive line was helped so much because like the cornerbacks, Stephon Gilmore in particular, they were just able to stick with their receiver and make it so hard for the QB to find an open man.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think the defensive line got a lot of help from the secondary. It's kind of like the opposite of the Niners situation where the secondary got a lot of help with the defensive line. So I think the secondary has a real future, and I think Stephon Gilmore, even though he's getting a little up there in age, he's like 29 years old now, he's still looking good, and I think he secures the top spot for me.
Yeah, no, there's no argument there. He's the consensus number 1.
Yeah, so moving on to number 2, I think he's definitely the most underrated cornerback in the NFL. I think it's Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White, he's so good. I think he came out of LSU a couple years ago as a late first-round pick, and no one expected him to be this good. He's an anchor on that Bills defense. If you look at that Bills defense, you don't see much star power on it. They have some good, decent safeties in Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, but I think Tre'Davious White is the crown jewel of the defense. He dominates every football game. He makes the thing I like about him the most is the turnovers he creates. He doesn't just pick people off and stuff like that. He forces fumbles. He punches the ball out. He does everything you need from a cornerback to do. He can tackle. He's pretty much a perfect cornerback. And if not for Stephon Gilmore being who he is, I think Tre'Davious White would be number 1 on this list. And I think he's been good since he's came into the NFL. In the last few seasons, he's just been dominating. And he's made that Bills defense go from one of the worst in the league when they had like Tyrod Taylor to now one of the best. And I think he's a good reason for it. And he's definitely going to be getting paid sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. Tre'Davious White, he's just incredible, especially in press coverage. He like jams the receivers. Once he gets his hands on you, the play is basically over. And he's the reason that the Bills were able to go into the playoffs, and potentially they could have won that Texans game if not for Josh Allen playing terribly. But still, he's the star of that defense, and he's going to be the number 1 cornerback in the NFL pretty soon at this rate.
Yeah, I think once Stephon Gilmore takes it easy and lowers his play, I think Tre'Davious White's definitely going to be up there. And he's so young still, too. So he's the future for the Bills defense, and he's also the future for the cornerback position.
Yeah.
Yeah, so moving on to number 3 on my list. This might come as a surprise for many people, but I think Marcus Peters is definitely a really good cornerback. I think Marcus Peters coming in at number 3. He's obviously on the Baltimore Ravens. He's made that secondary go from like good secondary to great. He came in from the Rams, and I think he changed that secondary. His playmaking ability is definitely, in my opinion, the best in the NFL. He takes risks, but most of the time his risks play off. I've rarely seen him make mistakes, especially with the Baltimore Ravens. He's made a couple in the past with the Rams and the Chiefs. But I think Marcus Peters, along with Marlon Humphrey, who's going to come in later on this list, I think they make the best cornerback duo in the NFL. And I think those two, along with good Ravens secondary in the back with Earl Thomas and Chuck Clark, I think the Ravens are set for the future in terms of cornerbacks. And Marcus Peters got paid, I think, a couple years ago. He's definitely worth every penny. And I think Marcus Peters is definitely deserves a spot in the top 3.
See, Marcus Peters had a great season with the Ravens, but like my problem with him is that like on the Rams, when he got traded to the Rams, he wasn't as good as he was. Like he's been when he got drafted by the Chiefs, he was good on the Chiefs. When he got traded to the Rams, his play, like, it went through a decline, and then after that, it bounced back up.
Like as you said, yeah, he did go through a little bit of a decline in the Rams, but I think he wasn't like in a really fair situation. In my opinion. That system with Wade Phillips isn't like what it is in Baltimore. He's in a perfect system now. He plays to the best of his ability. He just makes plays on the ball. That's really key in my opinion as a cornerback. You need to take risks, but if you keep playing it safe, you're gonna sooner or later panic. And then if once you panic, that's the worst thing you can do as a cornerback. You panic, you get penalties. That's worse than giving up the catch. So I think definitely Marcus Peters should deserve in the top 5, if not the top 3.
I just feel like there's like some more experienced guys, like potentially like Jalen Ramsey, or even his counterpart Marlon Humphrey, like that have been much more consistent throughout their career, and that should probably be ranked a bit higher.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So moving on to number 4 on my list, I have Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey has a talent to be number 1. He's in my opinion the most talented quarterback in the NFL. He definitely has a talent. He's a lockdown corner still, but the problem with him is I think his antics. Like another guy like OBJ, he has too many antics and he doesn't put in all out effort in my opinion. If you look at other guys ahead of him on this list, I have obviously Marcus Peters, Stephon Gilmore, and Tre'Davious White. They put in 110% effort for their team. I think Jalen Ramsey isn't that type of guy. He doesn't go out on the field every week and put in 100% effort. Just a little bit too much talking in my opinion as well. And I think even though he was an All-Pro for a reason, he's obviously a Pro Bowler. He's done really well with the Jaguars and the Rams. I think he could be higher on this list, but I think once he puts in full amount of effort, I think he can definitely rise. But right now, I can't put him higher than 4.
I feel like the off-field antics that is like the bad part about him, but like you can't really use that to judge like how good a safety is. Like
no, I think his on the field antics also get in his way. Well, not just off the field. Like he does so much talking, right? But the problem with him is sometimes he just doesn't show up in a lot of games. If you look at like the playoff game a couple years ago, the Jacksonville Jaguars were in the playoff game. He struggled a little bit. He wasn't like fully into the game, and I think he's one of those guys where like he has a personality. He needs to be in like the perfect situation. I don't know if that's with the Rams or not, but I think he definitely has a couple issues. But I think talent wise, he's definitely top 3 corner.
The reason I give him the benefit of the doubt is like when he came into the league against Jacksonville, he played at that time. DeAndre Hopkins was the best receiver. DeAndre Hopkins or Julio Jones was the best receiver in the NFL, and he had to play D-Hop twice in that division. And he was just like the way he played against D-Hop, like even as a rookie, like it really amazed me. He was able to stick with D-Hop. D-Hop is, although like he's not known for his physicality, he has underrated physicality. But Ramsey was able to stick with him, jam him up at the line, and I feel like he should probably be 3rd on this list. Like and like quarterbacks do not target Ramsey. Like they're smart enough like to know they don't throw it to the side, and I feel like that should like be enough to elevate it to third on the list.
It's definitely fair. He definitely is. He definitely is great. I don't know. I just don't like his effort level as much as most people do. And I don't think I can put talent over effort. I feel like effort is definitely one of the most important things when you play football, and I think he just doesn't put in 100% effort all the time, so I can't really put him above it. So yeah, so moving on to number 5 on my list, I have Marlon Humphrey, the counterpart for the Ravens, along with Marcus Peters. Marlon Humphrey, ever since he came in the league, he's been, in my opinion, the second most underrated corner along with his teammate. Both of them are really underrated, in my opinion. I think he's just not the highest household name. If you look at the top corners, most people know about Jalen Ramsey. They know about Patrick Peterson. They know about Stephon Gilmore. And they just don't know about the Ravens corners as much. And now that since the Ravens are good, more people are definitely going to know about them. And I think that Mr. Marlon Humphrey definitely deserves much more praise, especially because he's been consistent since he's come in the league. Even as a rookie, he was really good. I think this past season, he just took it to another level. And I think him, along with Marcus Peters, obviously, as I said before, make the best cornerback duo in the NFL. And I think he definitely deserves a spot in the top 5.
Actually, I would be okay if Humphrey was above Marcus Peters. I feel like Humphrey's better than Marcus Peters. Man coverage, Humphrey's great, and he's just a playmaker, forcing incompletions, interceptions. And he's been a rock for that Ravens D ever since he was drafted. He's been so consistent. Like I'm surprised like that he doesn't have that big of a name. Like you would expect, like the stats that he's put up, you would expect that this guy would be like the top 1 or top 2 corner. So yeah, there's no argument there.
Yeah, I think that the problem with like to getting a bigger name, I think your team really needs to be good. Like if you look at a lot of people, a lot of good players, they're all on good teams. Like if you look at Stephon Gilmore, obviously he's on the Patriots. You look at other players like I've listed before, Marcus Peters, he's now on the Ravens, who are really good, obviously. And then you look at Tre'Davious White on the Bills, who've now taken over the AFC East, right? And you look at other like top corners like Casey Hayward, they're on the Chargers. Even the Chargers, who haven't been good last season, they were good a couple of years ago. I think you need a team that's really good, in my opinion, in order to be a top, like getting a big name. And I think Marlon Humphrey is now starting to get some buzz. And I think from now on, I think he's going to be recognized as one of the top corners.
Yeah, that is true. The market of the team definitely affects how players judge. But I feel like Marlon Humphrey just deserves so much recognition. He's able to play slot and outside corner, and I feel like the Ravens, they can expect great things out of him, and obviously Marcus Peters.
Yeah, he's still so young. He came out of Alabama a couple of years ago, and I think him along with Marcus Peters is gonna keep that secondary like a top 3 secondary for the foreseeable future. So now moving on to the honorable mentions I have on my list. I think the one that most people want to see that's not on this list is definitely Casey Hayward. So Casey Hayward, he's been a corner for a long time now on the Chargers defense. I just think that he needs a lot of help. And he isn't like obviously the most talented corner, and he's not the fastest corner, but he's definitely rock solid. I just don't think he doesn't make the same impact for me as the top 5 corners do. I think every single one of the top 5 corners can tackle, and I think I value tackling a lot when you play cornerback, because you miss tackles as a cornerback, they're potential big plays happening. I think Casey Hayward is one of the better tacklers in the league in the cornerback position, so which is why I have him as an honorable mention.
Oh yeah, he's definitely worthy of that honorable mention. Him and obviously Chris Harris Jr. Hopped on to the Chargers. They're going to form one of the better secondaries in the NFL. But I'm going to list like a few other honorable mentions. Obviously, Richard Sherman. He had a great year last year. Although you could attribute some of that success to the defensive line, he still was like a great zone coverage guy. And a guy that I feel like so many people sleep on is Joe Hayden. After he got traded from the Browns to the Steelers, like obviously if you play for the Browns, you're not going to receive that much recognition, especially since he played with like the Browns in like the 0-16 and like those
in the darker years.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And after he got to Pittsburgh, like the Pittsburgh has one of the better secondaries in the NFL, and I don't think people recognize that Joe Hayden is one of the bigger reasons why. He routinely takes on like the opposing team's number 1 wide receiver. So
he's very underpaid as well. Like if you look at him, he's never going to be an all-pro corner in his career because there's just too many good cornerbacks in the AFC. But I think he definitely can be a Pro Bowl corner, and he was obviously a Pro Bowl corner in 2019. And he regained his prime form, and him along with Minkah Fitzpatrick, they form a good duo in the secondary. The final honorable mention I have, actually the final 2, both pretty much come from the same team in Miami, and obviously they're Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. So they both obviously, I think they formed the second best cornerback duo in the league. I think Byron Jones could be a really top 5 corner. He was really good last season. Even though he's about to get older, and even though he was like really overpaid in my opinion in the offseason, I think him along with his 26-year-old partner in Xavier Howard, I think they can form a really good duo, and they can really revamp that defense for Miami and make it the way Brian Flores wants it, as he did in New England.
Yeah, I mean, as with the safety position, there's just like a plethora of talented cornerbacks. Like it really makes it hard to list the top 5 because there's all these guys like they excel in their own areas, whether it be man coverage, zone coverage, making plays. But this will do it for our top 5 cornerbacks list. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.